This ended up turning into a pretty solid silver game, and I think it displayed a few things around how I approach specific matchups in the laning phase, as well as my macro decisions later on, and how a few key fights can change the course of a pretty close or even bad-looking game. If we take a look at this matchup, for example, Bebop and Apollo, who are both some of the better laners in the current roster of heroes, versus Silver and Doorman, who are both also very solid laners. On paper, I would think it's a pretty neutral matchup, but laning against someone like Bebop, who really punishes positioning, means you really have to be aware of where he is at all times and the cooldowns of his key ability, which is his hook, which he's going to be trying to land as much as possible to pull you out of position. And the main way I try to play around or avoid that hook is playing really tight on cover. And if I am going to step out into the open, always keeping an eye on him and what he's doing if he looks like he's angling for a hook. If I am going to step out into the open, then I'll dash back into cover and almost try to bait out his hook. It gets a lot easier if you can try to also time his cooldown once you start seeing the hook come out. In this case, he went bomb first, which I think is pretty common for Bebops. And I'm not all that worried about the bomb, because in a lot of cases I can out-trade his bomb damage just with my own abilities. And that's one of the main reasons that leads to us getting kills on both of them this early into the game. With the other main reason being that we were just playing really well together, me and this random doorman. We never even say anything to each other, but notice that I am going out of my way a lot of the time to keep tabs on where he's at, what he's doing, if there's anything I can be doing to support him. And I think that plays into a big reason why we end up winning this lane phase. And no matter what the matchup is, whether there's really good laning heroes versus really bad ones, a lot of times you can make up that difference by just playing better together, forcing 2v1s where you can and capitalizing on enemy mistakes, and then just doing whatever we can to keep up lane pressure by killing their minions. So I haven't seen the Bebop in a little while, so I'm just being a little bit cautious as I move up and try to do some chip damage to the tower. And I know that he does have his hook online, so whenever he does appear, I'm looking for him to use that. And there he is, and I dash and he uses his hook. Means I have at least a few seconds to not worry so much about it and just go right back to keeping up that pressure. My doorman and I have both done a pretty solid job so far of trying to steal their tier 1 camp whenever we can. And here, just another example of me trying to play off of him and be ready if they push him. I'm just keeping an eye on him. If any of them do go in there, I'm there to help support, but I can also keep pressure up on the wave. And now my doorman has left that room and we can go back to clearing the wave. Here is a bit of a messy situation with the way my dash kind of puts me on the other side of the Bebop and he's able to then push me into the tower. Means I take a lot of extra damage, and then there we go, Bebop gets his big grab. And that's exactly what Bebops are trying to do, is pull you into their tower. A lot of times, if you're around half health or sometimes even more, it's going to lead to you dying. At this point, I have a little bit of PTSD of laning against Bebops. Just a few games ago, I went against probably the best Bebop that I've seen so far. It was one of those games where he's hitting every single hook, and I couldn't get anything going. I went like 3-12 by the end of the game. Just a really rough one. So I was a little extra conscious when I was laning against Bebop here. Here I see my doorman ulted the Apollo. I think he's just bugged out a little bit, but he is there. And I know my my doorman's going to set up for a kidnap. So I don't want to use my 2 on him to knock him out of the cart. Just going to try to save that. Still missed it, but we ended up securing the kill anyway. It's another example of just being ready to play off of your lane partner. And you don't even need to be talking. I don't think we ever said one word this whole match. But just being aware can set up a lot of kills for you. These are just more examples of me really trying to play off of the cover so I don't give the Bebop any easy hooks. And even when he does dive at me and put a bomb on me, see how much damage it did because I bought Grit. And I popped that as soon as he put the bomb on me and it ended up doing 0 damage to me. So that's why I'm not too worried about the bomb.
Someone's gonna be bleeding on the concrete.
I'll slow him down.
I see the enemy.
And again, notice the way I'm kind of dipping and diving up on this cover, never standing in one place, just trying to make it as difficult for the Bebop to land any hooks as I possibly can. I notice the Bebop land the hook on my doorman there, and I get a little bit closer just in case I need to support him, but he ends up getting caught on the bridge there and not pulled in all the way, so turned out totally fine. Again, the amount of lane pressure that we've been able to put out has been really, really strong. So just trying to maintain that pressure at this point. You'll also notice my doorman is in their tier 1 camp, stealing it again. I believe that's for the 3rd time in a row.
Where do you think you're going?
There, the Bebop ult isn't too much of a concern in my opinion. The main annoyance with it is just how short the cooldown is and how often he can be throwing that thing out. It's mainly just a zoning tool because you can just run around cover and wait till it's gone most of the time, but if he does catch you out, it can lead to some bad situations.
I'll get you settled.
In fact, here's a really good example of just how often Bebop can have his ult up and how it can lead to one of those bad situations. Here I'm kind of in a bad position. I was worried that the AoE was going to be able to damage me there, but luckily I found a good little spot. But still, led to a bad position, which led to him getting a pretty nasty hook on me, which is how I died. So both of my deaths so far this game came from Bebop hooks. Even though he's missed probably way more than he's landed, both of the ones that he landed led to me dying. And then quickly here, I ended up going blue when I respawned, just because my Mirage went over to help Yellow. So Yellow didn't need 3 of us. And I ran into the 7 who was trying to steal our jungle. And I shooed him away and then went back to cleaning up our jungle and then eventually back to Yellow lane to finish off our lane. And something worth noting is for as much of the lane pressure that we've been able to generate, we really don't have that much damage on their tower. It's still right at about half. But I would think that we should have been able to finish off the tower by now. So here we're just looking for a good opportunity to kill them first and then immediately turn that into taking out their tower, which this is exactly that opportunity. I saw Doorman kidnap the Bebop or put him in his ult, which led to me being able to set up some free damage and turn into a wolf for, I think, the first time all game, and then take out their tower. So with the lane 1, we're about to make a pretty big macro mistake. And this is my fault too, I don't want to blame the doorman, but he calls for Urn Run, which I get the idea. We just killed 2 of them.
Help me deliver this thing.
We have lane priority in yellow. Now should be a decent time. The problem is just the ults. If you look at the amount of ults that we have online versus their team, it's just kind of a bad time. They're all going to be able to come back, and the 7 is the big ult that we need to worry about, and it ends up basically getting all of us killed. I also could have taken a better route there instead of going behind them like I did. I probably should have just taken a more direct side route. Maybe I could have had more of an impact, but it was going to be tough either way.
They delivered the urn.
And then I guess maybe I was just feeling generous to the other team, but right after I respawned, I ended up making a bad push on their tower. And if you're looking at the minimap, you can probably see why. There's a lot missing, so I kind of get jumped. The Rem is probably going to be in this area with all the Sinners up. So I just shouldn't have pushed this Walker in the first place. Leads to me getting killed. At least I get the info, and I do call it out to the team to maybe push some other lanes, but still a bad push on my part.
I'm glad I'm awake to see this.
It's 3 on yellow. Might be able to take green or blue Walker. And there you at least heard me call out that they had 3 people on yellow lane, which should in theory leave the other lanes a little bit weaker. And you can see my team is doing a good job pushing blue. And I think we end up taking this Walker, which is a really good Walker to take as the first Walker down. I also did hear someone stomping around in the area and was able to locate the Bebop right as he was dropping down into our shop. And me in a 1v1 with my ult up is Bebop's not really going to stand a chance. Now I could hear someone doing the enemy Sinners right across the way here. So something I like to do is try to punish them if they're not paying attention. See if I can sneak in a nice parry. I probably could have chased this kill a lot harder, but I ended up just being happy with forcing him out of this fight and then joining the main brawl here. Which ends up working out. The Venator, kind of like a dummy, ends up rejoining and gets himself killed. And then I'm able to clean up this Shiv here.
You have a lot to answer for, Shiv.
And the problem here, as it often is in other parts of life, is greed. Where I see that Bebop, who's very weak, basically one shot, and I just chase that kill a lot harder than I should have, knowing that a lot of the rest of their team can collapse on me at any moment. So I should have backed off a lot more here. I didn't really have any escape tools because I play... I've been not buying a lot of stamina items for silver, really any stamina items. I usually go Warpstone instead. And at this point, I don't even have that, so I have no real means of escape when I'm overextended like that. Here, the enemy team is dropping the urn in, so I'm kind of just debating with myself whether to join that fight, looking around at what my teammates are doing. I do see on green lane, I have 2 about to take that Walker, and no one on my team around the urn is about to commit to that fight, so we end up just giving it and trading the urn for the Walker there. Here. One nice thing about the Bebop ult here is it's free damage for your ult. And this little rat, who's been kind of a menace all game, I think that was his first death, so satisfying kill there.
Where you running, buddy?
The enemy team seems to really enjoy playing as kind of a death ball or a big group. And my team has done a pretty good job of countering that playstyle by keeping up pressure on other parts of the map. Here's another good example of where Bebop, once you're kind of done with his bomb, once he grabs you, sticks a bomb on you, there's really not much else he can do except just shoot you. So when I have my abilities up, I can kind of just dump a lot more damage into him than he can to me. There's the rest of that death ball. At least my team is doing a pretty good job of slowing them down, and we end up being able to save
Basically
this
all
walker,
on yellow right now.
even though the 7 is able to split push and take our green walker basically for free.
All right. They aren't gonna like this side of me.
Now, I generally like to play Silver as more of a frontline brawler, maybe even an off tank.
Careful, Mirage.
So I'm always trying to play around the middle of the map, looking for fights that I can help support. Not farming as much unless it's nothing else really going on in the map or there's a really good opportunity to. But really prioritizing fighting with my team, being able to soak up some damage for them, and winning some pivotal fights in the mid game.
I'm on it.
Seem to be claimed.
Here, I'm just kind of waiting to see if any of the enemies might make a mistake and overextend, and I can then jump on them. I do see the Apollo start to motion towards my Mirage, who is alone by himself on yellow, so I do call out that Apollo is coming for him. High level movement right there.
Going to shop.
And once the Mirage is safe, I'm just backing off, looking for another opportunity to re-engage somewhere else. Like maybe I can help this pocket kill the 7, but he's doing a lot of damage, so here I'm really seeing that the 7's going to be a problem. I did buy knockdown just for him,
7 is here.
and I use it on him right here trying to catch him out again, but he's able to get away. Unfortunately, now he knows that at least one of us on my team has knockdown, so he's probably going to be buying Unstoppable or Indomitable, something like that, that makes his ult much harder to counter. At this point in the game, I'm kind of just roaming around the middle of the map, looking for an advantageous fight, and we get that right here, where we're able to trap both the 7 and the Venator and the Apollo, and kill all 3. Which leads to us being able to take this yellow walker. We could have also probably taken mid-boss here, which might have been, probably would have been better, but we ended up just taking the walker. Here, I get the idea that it might be a good opportunity to run Earn, so I just grab it and then try to decide if we should actually run it or not, and you'll hear me kind of think through that here. We don't have to run this. Probably just going to drop it. Yeah, there's 4 on green. Push up blue and yellow. So I think it's important to understand you don't always have to force the earn in. Sometimes the act of faking a run can give you a lot of information just by itself. Like in this case, we saw that they were committing 4, which should leave other parts of the map open. And we were still able to take a advantageous fight, even though it didn't really look it at the beginning. I probably should have been punished a lot harder, but I held my ult up, which kind of saved my butt. And one other reason that I like to buy Warpstone for my ult is it allows me to hit abilities like that on this Bebop or other hard to reach targets.
has been defeated.
Do mid boss. So this mid boss turned out to be a lot sketchier than I think it should have been, and mostly because only 3 of us went to take it. I really think everyone on our team should have gone there when there's any number of enemy players that theoretically could drop to contest us. I think everyone needs to be there and give up whatever you're doing. Securing the mid boss should be the #1 priority, but we got lucky in this case. Something I really like that we're doing here is stealing enemy farm after we got the rejuve and just taking general map control. So many players and teams make the mistake of, once they get the rejuves, just immediately running it down for some kind of enemy objective, whether it's a walker or inside the enemy base, when in reality you have 4 minutes to use those rejuves and take map control. So why not try to maximize that? Here we were able to drop Earn in, and the enemy team looks like they're trying to show up to fight for it, which is really bad for them. I was looking to use that knockdown on that 7. Maybe he forgot to pop his unstoppable or something, but we'll take that, whatever the case was there. It basically gave me free access to my ult, where then I could rip and tear and do one of those classic Silver moments where you kind of 1v6 the whole team. Because, if you don't know, Silver's tier 3 ult allows her to reset all of her abilities if you get a kill. So you can kind of chain together a bunch of kills, just like what happened there. And now they're basically all dead except for a Bebop. And that's basically the game deciding fight. We're able to then push into base, take both of their shrines, and then the question becomes, do we stay to clean them up off of respawn, or do we back out? And you'll hear me call out what I think we should do. Should back out maybe. So backing out is definitely the safe option. So I'm kind of just paying attention to what the team is doing and what the enemy team is doing, and they end up overextending. We trade out a couple kills, but they seem to kind of go more in our favor, so that gives us a really good opportunity to go back in and finish the game.
Everyone makes a mistake eventually, and when they do, they're not.
Stat Locker ended up giving me an S+ for this game. Even though I made quite a few mistakes, I definitely closed it out pretty well. Silver's still very, very strong. I hope you found this insightful. It's definitely interesting reviewing your own gameplay and kind of what you were thinking after you've already played the game. But I think there's a lot to learn there. A lot of the mistakes that you might be able to pick up on that you find yourself doing. There's definitely still a ton for me to learn. Let me know if you have any questions or any other tips that you might have for me, as I'm trying to get better with Silver and a few other characters too. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.